Hey, Chris Lotz with the Pat Lotz Real Estate Group, coming to you with another episode of Beyond the Keys at Pat Lotz Podcast. Today we're talking about a first-time home buyer's organized checklist to purchasing a home. I think relevant in this market, millennials still make up a large portion of buyers right now. And being a first-time home buyer, I feel like a lot of agents don't educate and empower buyers to make confident, educated, comfortable decisions knowing what they're doing. And that's why I think this is super applicable information right now. People are still in the market to buy. I think Rocket Mortgage put out some data recently that said year to date, new buyer pre-approvals and pre-qualifications and mortgage applications are up 9%. People are buying.
People are still
Interest
buying.
rates, home prices, so on and so forth. It's just a factor. So get an agent that you trust, educates you, listen to our information, reach out wherever you are in the country. We're here to help, guide, support, so on and so forth. So today we're with, again,
Pat Lotz for the Pat Lotz Group.
Yeah. How's your day going?
Great,
Week
great
going?
sunny fall day.
What do you got cooking? What's today?
Today is
November 2nd or 1st?
No, 2nd.
2nd.
2nd, November 2nd, and it's a beautiful fall week, and I am heading to list a great house this afternoon.
Yeah,
Great log cabin.
Log cabin?
Yeah.
We probably haven't done a podcast in a while though too, so maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
I personally have been doing a fix and flip, 2 rental rehabs. We've been closing things on the buy side, and that's taken a lot of our time and it's taken away from content.
Correct.
What have you been doing for the past 2 months?
Really, recovering from hip surgery.
When was that?
4 weeks ago.
Okay.
So, but still working. You can always work things, make phone calls, call your past clients, reach out, touch them. But the neat thing is that I've had some things in the pipeline ahead of surgery that are coming to fruition and closing.
Yeah. I think that she was making phone calls probably the day after surgery. Granted, it was only an outpatient procedure, 2 hours standard. That doc does it all day long. But then the next day or the day of, it was still phone calls and emails for back to the grind.
Good thing I love what I do. So you know, it keeps me going and keep me homebound for a couple weeks while I heal. So it's all good. I feel like $1 million.
Yeah, but and like you said, like simultaneously, we're still closing deals. I don't know what the numbers are. We're just kind of grinding, working, blinders on. Still closing deals, doing a lot of things, a lot of great things coming up. Good close to the end of the year. We're obviously in Q4, 2 months to go here at the end of the year, and we're kind of going through that transformational period of what we're pushing forward for 2023. First thing in terms of processes, some systems, bringing in some third-party companies to help us. So that's kind of where we go for end of Q4.
Yeah, and we just really work and regroup for the next year, set up goals, work on our marketing, you know, what worked last year, what works, you know, next year. So looking forward to another great year and excited about the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So.
We might be a broken record, but at this point in time, number one, time and time again, the most important part of the process is finding representation, finding an agent that you trust, is willing to educate you and get you to understand exactly what you're doing throughout this whole process, not blindly leading you on how to purchase a home. We want buyers and sellers to walk away and say, wow, I wouldn't have had it any other different way, but at the same time, you empowered the decisions that we made along that process. That's valuable.
Yep.
So number one, find an agent.
Yep, and it's really important too. I'm a firm believer that talking to a couple agents is critical. I mean, that relationship, you're buying a very large asset, a lot of moving parts, and you want it to be a smooth transition, and you want experience by your side. So having this relationship, interviewing a couple agents is critical. Finding out, how much business they do, etc.
We have a lot of conversations about listings, and we have a lot of conversations about buyers, and I'll relate it to buyers more of anything. I probably even say that. Like, have a few conversations with a few other agents.
Yep.
Obviously, here's our resume. We'll do close to 100 units this year. We'll do 30 plus million. Experience and reps matter. But also have those conversations with other agents. And I do throw some statistics. They say that the average agent, NAR, National Association of Realtors, the average agent does 5 to 7 units a year. Yep. That's crazy. I mean, and good for them, being average agents. But, I also think that I'm calling a doctor that does 100 root canals a year, 100 hips a year.
Yeah.
Has that experience and has that proven ability time and time again, having closed transactions. I think that experience, reputation matters. We do have a podcast about finding an agent, what questions to ask that agent, how to qualify that agent. So I would always reference that, and we might put a link in the description below. It's one of our first original podcasts. That's valuable. Top 10, top 5 questions to ask an agent while you're interviewing them. Those are important to get those answers before you commit to that agent.
And also, it's, we do a buyer orientation. I mean, so we set up a meeting, a one-on-one meeting, to go over, the process and the blueprint to buying and try and establish and educate at that beginning. So that sort of leads us into, the questions that we ask at that original meeting.
And you only know, I had this conversation with another first-time home buyer. He's relocating back to Michigan, and he's constantly saying, hey, apologize, my lack of education or experience. He's a first-time home buyer. You only know what you know. You don't know. No worries. That's why you're talking to us.
Yeah.
But two, that's when I'm with these buyers, when I'm at these buyers consultations, I'm regurgitating a lot of those questions that have come up time and time again. And if your agent's not doing that, then shame on them, because again, too, you need to be informed of maybe the good, bad, and the ugly of all these situations. We hope for the best, plan for the worst, but that's why we're so good at being proactive for problems, is we're anticipating these issues and already have those buyers or sellers conditioned to price reductions, to escalation clauses, to appraisal guarantees. We're talking about those things on the front end, so on the back end, it's smooth sailing from there.
Yeah. So educating them ahead of time so that they're not caught off guard. But I mean, these are challenging times. We're shifting and balancing into 2023 with everybody's uncertain about what the future is. I mean, we have a good market, we're a healthy community, we don't anticipate too many hiccups, but we're normalizing. So I think finding an agent at this particular time is really crucial.
Yeah, and actually I was going to say that specifically on the listing side is, a lot of people are concerned with what's next. Well, right now, interest rates are here and home prices are still stabilized to a fair market value, but still at the top of a market. That's all we can focus in on. We can't worry about what's tomorrow. We can't worry about what's behind us. And, but right now with this evolving market to the uncertainty of what's to come, that's where experience does matter. But then also too, it's not like it was a year ago. You have to get back to the roots of historically how you marketed properties or represented properties. And again, that's why we are very pivotal in this market. Your newer agents that don't have that experience, it's not, shame on them. It's building that experience is important, but that's also going to take time. It took you 25 years. 22 years.
Yeah.
But right now in this evolution, and there's a great example of it. So we're selling this lake property. Not, we're moving through the process. It looks to be good. We're working through financing, I believe, at this point in time. Correct. Appraisal has not happened.
No.
But everything's looking pretty good financially. Is it a cash deal?
Actually, it is a
cash deal. So no appraisal.
Take that back.
So there was an inspection addendum, small thing. Got to get it fixed. So we should be pushing forward and moving forward. That house was listed when? A year ago.
Yes, actually, year and a half, 2 years.
Interest rates were
Low.
3%.
Yeah.
So right now, granted, it's a cash deal, so it's a non-issue, but this home and these buyers, I know for a fact, have been looking for the lake property for the past 2 years. So that's where, like, I'm not even just saying this, but I think the marketing that we put in, we did this first-person view, and time out. Add the list of questions to your agents when you're interviewing these people is, do you do FPV or first-person view drone walkthroughs? We do, and I think it sells properties. There's certain properties. It's very important at a certain price point. And this house was listed a year ago. These buyers were in the market a year ago. I don't know if it wasn't represented properly, if they didn't see it, if they didn't, if it didn't register. It was a different price point. They were over $1 million.
No, it was below.
It was below your list price?
Yeah.
Even better. But marketed properly, slam dunk, first day on market, sold, and that's the song and dance of the year. One day on market, listed at $1 million price point, lake property previously sold or previously listed a year ago. That's impressive. That's impressive.
And it was one of those that, taking a pulse of what's going on in the market, we're in that transitional. How's this going to all play out? Yeah. I anticipated, because it was a great property, that we would be successful, and we were. It's a gorgeous property. So.
And wow, that's a long tangent on finding an agent, but and we can even dive back into more finding the agents, or at least our approach and what we think that other agents should be doing to help benefit buyers and sellers, and we will do that. So we'll put that on the docket right now. And number 2, and we were just talking before this, but we believe that 2 and 3 might be a simultaneous thing. And 2 is figure out how much house you can afford. You might have an idea. You might be able to do some Google searches of your debt to income ratios, your incomes, but 3 and 2 should kind of take place at the same time, because it's very important. And I'll give an example of a buyer recently. And no fault on them, but it was a little more of an assumption. They were self-employed small business owners, so that is a little bit different. I'll talk about that. But 3 is find a mortgage lender and get pre-approved. That's arguably just as important as find an agent. That has a way more of an impact on the buying process.
Well, and what is, again, back to number 1, find an agent. We have incredible premier lenders that we work with. So I think that's important, because we know how that lender does business, and we refer them business. So I think that that's important, to work with the agent and see what resources they have for that referral.
For the agent?
The agent.
Talk about preferred lenders and things like that?
Yeah. So we have preferred lenders that we recommend to our buyers, and that's part of our orientation. Hey, we have these resources. We'd love for you to work with them, or if you come to...
And after 22 years, those referrals are preferred vendors or preferred lenders, inspectors. That they're a big part of the team to make sure that transactions are going smooth. There's 2 contingencies really. Inspection contingency, we got to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and we're figuring out the good, bad, and the ugly of the house, work through those problems, find those problems, work through those problems, if any. But then also 2, the financing contingency. And your no-name lenders, or lenders you don't have an experience with, that you might get lost. There was a deal that we were doing recently. Huntington Bank lost our file for 2 weeks. Those are the things that our preferred local lenders that we have a great relationship with, or any agent has great relationships with, you're not gonna fall through those cracks. And that's not a shot at that bank specifically, but utilizing the resources from the agent, we're gonna make sure that transaction goes.
Well, because we know how they roll. They get us from here to here with very little hiccups. And really, they're taking care of the file, so we don't have to micromanage that part of the business. So it's like we have, we're the contractor and those are our subs, so we know how those subs work, and they're gonna take care of our clients.
Yeah, I just had a lender actually yesterday say, are you familiar with our portal to kind of figure out where we are at the process, what we're working on, and things like that? And I said, that takes away from what I'm doing, is getting houses under contract and starting that process. That's the whole point of you being a part of the team, is you managing that transaction. you getting me the pre-approval. At the end of the day, that's not my job to adjust these pre-approvals or walk my buyer through these baby steps of what the financings are. I'm educated on it, and we do get automated emails from our preferred lenders to say where we are at the checklist. Yeah. That's great, but I'm not going to log in to kind of figure out where I am at the process. My job is one thing: get houses under contract, meet buyers, consult with buyers, educate buyers, show buyers homes, get homes under contract, period. Yep. What's your job? Talk with sellers.
Yeah, my list is reach out to past clients, do listings, address calls, referrals. So listings.
So if you had more time in the day, you logging into lending.com to kind of figure out where your buyers were or where the buyers on your listings are, it's a waste of your time.
No, that's the lender, is lender's responsibility, and to keep me updated that everything's moving smooth.
Trust professional.
Yep.
So reach out to us if you're local. Reach out to us for our preferred lender. We've been using him for 20 plus years for a reason, period. He's also used actually pretty widely within the community and known within the community. So when his name is on things, when our name's on things, it kind of holds its weight in gold. So feel free to reach out with that. If you're somewhere around the country, I think that there's some great referral networks within these lenders. Yeah. So we can always kind of assist with that. But again, want to drive that home, find a mortgage lender, get pre-approved. Try to figure out what your house is qualified for. I'll give the short story of it. The short story is I had a Zillow lead reach out. Hey, we're qualified for $450. Awesome. We've got 3 borrowers that are going to be on the mortgage, dad, husband, and then husband and wife, which was kind of like the grandpa, dad, husband and wife. Cool, let's do it. Yeah. And I did put which normally I am putting a lot of faith and trust into that. And every once in a while, due diligence, I guess, doesn't happen. But they reached out to our preferred lender, and because they're self-employed, they had not too consistent tax returns. Speak to your lender. Self-employed borrowers are a little bit trickier. We need 2 years of tax returns. Yeah. And that needs to be averaged over those 2 years for your expected income. Yeah. It can't be pay stubs. You don't have pay stubs, or pay stubs aren't credible in that situation, but it's 2 years of pay stubs, bank statements, so on and so forth. And they were only qualified for half of that.
Ooh,
so, but two, they're on the right path, and also two, working with the right lender will give you that roadmap of, we need to pay down this debt, we need to consolidate this one, and we need to get to the 2 years of tax returns with positive, cash flow and money coming in, or positive revenue. So John was able to give that roadmap to that buyer to help them figure out, hey, we're here, and then in 1 calendar year, we're going to be there.
Got it.
How do we do it?
Very cool.
Great stuff. And I don't think many lenders are willing to do that. If they see the lack of qualification, they might say, on to the next. So kind of big for John to be able to do that. 4 is begin the house on.
Ooh, the fun part. Yes. We're still in a particular market that inventory is still low and limited, and so you work with what their criteria is and get out there and show them the houses.
It's still competitive, price right, it's still competitive. So do still move with some urgency, and I said that to a buyer a few nights ago. Supposedly they have an offer on the table, work through your process. But I would still move with urgency, because I wouldn't want you to miss out on an opportunity because we're not moving with urgency. So still assume, but don't make a rash decision. Sleep on it, talk about it, pros and cons, and we'll figure it out. And all we can do is put our best foot forward and hope for the best.
Yeah, and the thing is get out there and take a look at the products that are available to get yourself educated. So.
Anything else on begin the house on?
No, that's the fun part.
Yeah, and two, I think that the evolution, more on the buy side than it is the sell side, but I think the evolution of a home buyer, specifically for first-time home buyers, I think it takes reps. I think it takes 7 to 10 reps for you to get into these homes to figure out location, finishings, bones, square footage, all these things, that what's going to fit your needs, because 1,500 square feet of finished square footage above grade is not made equal in a colonial or a ranch or a tri-level. So trying to figure, and I always say about the multi-levels is, there's a reason we're not building them anymore, but we sell them all day long.
All day long.
But they're different in how they're laid out and structured, so it fits your needs. So first-time home buyers, don't get discouraged if you walk into 3 homes and you're like, we're not gonna find it. I think it takes 7 to 10 times for you to really figure out what you're looking for. Then it's about patience and positivity, waiting for the right opportunity.
Absolutely.
And we have another podcast about this. One point is focus. I think you should focus on location and neighborhood. And obviously the architectural style needs to have an impact on that as well. It needs to be functional for your family, but I don't think you can ever change location. So finding the right house in the wrong area, you're gonna need to move. So you gotta be more of the right area and find that balancing game, but find the right area and then we'll find the right home that fits your needs, that fits a lot of the qualifications.
Yep.
So, 5 says gather your documentations. This is another simultaneous thing that your preferred lender or your lender should be talking to you about, but dot your I's, cross your T's. All day long, we do have buyers that don't have these documents, ready. Proof of identification, your last 2 months of income, pay stubs, bank statements, etc. Proof of funds for down payment and closing costs. They think that they could probably pull out $10K cash underneath the mattress and say, hey, I'm good to go. So can we close? No, it needs to be in your bank. It needs to be verified where that money's coming from. So ask these questions early and often. Your last 2 years of tax returns, bank statements, or investment account statements, a recommendation letter. Have these things even before you have this conversation with your lenders. It's only going to make the process more smoother. Another thing is we're putting days for financial contingency, 30 to 35. If you have these things in sooner, verified, quicker, cleaner, we're only going to close faster.
Yep.
So anything on gather documentation?
No, you covered it, and the lender will drive the bus on that one. So that's what's great.
Trust the resources.
Yep.
Trust your agent. We do this for a reason. Trust the lender. They do it for a reason. If you don't trust them, maybe it's you need to find somebody else. But I think that's the biggest takeaway from maybe our past clients is they walk away trusting what we're saying, what we're doing, how we're guiding them. And that's the difference between one client or repeat business.
Got it.
So,
Yep.
6 is make an offer on a property.
Yay, another fun part.
Yeah.
So, making an offer on a property is really exciting. And again, it's a competitive market, so you've got to go in there, educated about what's going on in the market. That's why you've seen a few homes, and by the time you see the one that you like, you go, I see the value. Location, condition, floor plan, it works for us. So we're still, like I said, it's still a seller's market. So you got to go in there competitive.
Yeah. Still be putting your best foot forward. We're not doing like the appraisal guarantees and the escalation clauses like we used to, or like the inspection contingencies. Things are starting to be a little bit more still a seller's market, but still be a little bit more fair and just. I do want to read these first 2 paragraphs because I think that these are good takeaways and maybe some talking points. Once you follow those first 5 steps, you can now put in an offer to buy a property that checks all your boxes. It can be difficult to decide how much you should offer, so it's best to defer to your agent. Back to the trust. They'll compare sales data and other local property values to help you make a reasonable offer. Keyword, reasonable offer. We're not getting things for crazy discounts. It's still more towards fair market value. You're getting not a deal, but you're getting to what people, I think 6 months ago to a year ago, they were buying interest rates and understanding that they might be going over a little on the home prices. Caveat is things were appraising, but things are getting a little more fair, but make it a very reasonable offer. They'll compare sales data and other local property values to make a reasonable offer. Your agent will also draw up an offer letter or a purchase agreement and submit it to the seller or the seller's representative. Keep in mind that you can ask for more, which this is happening more now, more than just a home sale in your offer letter, depending on the condition of the property. You may want to ask, request repairs or make your offer contingent upon a successful inspection, which we always do.
Yes.
A year ago they weren't. Or we're seeing more contingent on the seller's purchasing a home or contingent on the buyer selling a home. Yeah, it's happening more often.
Yeah.
So yeah, any points on that?
No, I think you covered it.
When you put in an offer on a home, you make a promise that you are serious about buying it. Are you seeing more cold feet?
No.
Really?
I don't think I am.
We had cold feet on Glenwith, kind of.
Yeah, we did, but I think consistently we had more cold feet back when it was such a competitive market and all of the buyer buzz and the multiple offers. Then they're thinking, oh my gosh, I overpaid, and then they were backpedaling a little bit. That's where I found a little bit more buyer's remorse.
So maybe right now with the higher interest rates and the changing market, maybe it's just more serious buyers. And the Glenwood might have been a different situation. Maybe it was just kind of tacked up to cold feet, but maybe it was a different situation with like interest rates or whatever. Be serious and take your offer very seriously. You know, your agent should be educating you on the severity of not taking it serious. I always say like 90% of our job is to make sure you're not in default. And we're pretty successful at that, knock on wood.
Yeah.
You'll include an earnest money deposit with your offer to prove just that you are interested. What do they call it? Earnest money deposit, EMD, good faith deposit?
Yeah, good faith.
Yeah, good faith deposit.
That you need some skin in the game, and you know, they hold that in escrow, so.
But it goes towards?
It goes towards your bottom line and the money that you have to bring to closing. Down payment, closing costs, etc.
It then goes on to say you'll need to be 100% sure you want to purchase a home before you submit an offer. You know, there are, and you will, if you're not in default, you will get that earnest money deposit back. You can go through with that inspection. But really understand, like, this is very serious, and you need to be 100% positive that you want to start this process. We can't just back out through inspection we could, but any piddly thing like, more of a cold feet situation, you gotta be very serious about this stuff, because purchasing a home, buying or selling, is serious stuff. It still should be fun though, but it is serious stuff, and you know, you gotta treat it as such.
Yeah, and like we're going into number 7, conduct a home inspection as well as the lender appraisal. So the home inspection, you know, you're going in there, and I always say it's just a good visual, is we're looking for elephants. So we're looking for health and safety issues. And when I say elephants, it's that you're going to be buying the house and incurring a substantial amount of expense to do a repair. Well, substantial to me is probably over $1,000. And that kind of stuff we're looking at is, you know, is there electrical issues, health and safety, making sure the mechanicals are all in working order. So they might be old, but they're still working, and so, you know, that's fair. We're looking for good quality water, radon. We're making sure there's no critters in the attic. So those are things that, you know, the elephants that we're looking for.
Yeah. Conduct a home appraisal and inspection. You know, the appraisal is going to happen simultaneously, or it's ordered after the inspection, something the team works together on. It's not something that necessarily that you have to do, but once we're through inspection, we, most likely the agent, would notify the lender to get that appraisal ordered. Sometimes, about a year ago, we were ordering appraisals ASAP, so it's happened simultaneously so we can close faster, because those lending institutions were bogged down with refis. So it was easier to kind of get things going.
And it's the cost of doing business. You know, your appraisal is what, a $500 expense, and we really don't, you know, and technically in that purchase agreement, you're making application in a 7-day period. That's when the appraisal should be ordered. So that's just a purchase agreement thing.
And you know, appraisals are still going pretty smooth right now for the most part, really determining kind of like that fair market value. You do have a few options if it doesn't appraise. You know, you can renegotiate the purchase price with sellers if you have not included an appraisal guarantee. You can bring a larger down payment and a lower amount of money you're borrowing, request a new appraisal, cancel the sale, and continue pursuing a different property. I think it's worth working through those things. Renegotiate. Can't do that. See if you can restructure. If you can't do that, dispute the appraisal or request a new appraisal. Unfortunately, with that lender, if you do get a new appraisal, that's going to be the set in stone thing. So at that point in time, then you have to go to a whole different lender. And then if that's not an option, then you most likely just cancel the sale and continue pursuing a different property.
And let me just add real quick is that, remember, buyers have options after the inspection. They have the opportunity to buy the house as is. First. Second, they They can back out of the contract if they're concerned about any issues with the home and get their earnest deposit back. Number 3, they can go back to the seller and say, hey, look, I've got these items on the inspection report. Can you repair all these concerns I have? Or number 4, just go back to them and say, hey, a couple health and safety issues, can you take care of them? So buyers have options after the inspection.
Yeah, and knock on wood, we haven't seen too many things that you can't have a conversation about, but most things can be mitigated. It just comes down to the parties willing to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
So, last point is close on a home, which is very self-explanatory, and hopefully if you follow these steps and got the right agent, got the right lender, and worked through this process, it's nothing but a great experience to close on the house. So, Chris Lotz with the Pat Lotz Real Estate Group and
Pat Lotz with the Pat Lotz Real Estate Group.
Thanks for tuning in to another podcast, the Pat Lotz Podcast, Beyond the Keys. We'll talk to you next time. Check all of our latest content. Subscribe for more information, whether you're here locally or you're around the country, around the world. I don't know about around the world, but around the country, we're here to help. Always reach out, ask some questions below in the comments. Reach out to us directly on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Phone numbers are everywhere on the website. But again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to use those like, comment, and share buttons below. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pat Lotz Real Estate for more helpful home buying and selling tips. Want a free comparable market analysis? Scan that QR code on your screen or visit our website at www.patlotz.com and fill out the request form. There's lots to love in Livingston County.